interesting times. Today's stories. Italy's Veneto region is battered by storm. Macron says he has immense pride in a New Caledonia vote for France.
Le seul vaincu est la tentation du mépris, de la division.
Iran marks the US embassy siege on the eve of sanctions. An analyst says President Trump's election is a catalyst for women running in midterms.
We should be sort of normalizing this type of increase in women's political presence by saying, look, this is yet another year where we're seeing gains for women.
Ted Cruz rallies women and Hispanics in a final midterm push.
Much of her career as an educator, as a teacher, as a principal. She spent a lot of years also as a healthcare professional.
Plus, Canada's I Am Joseph cast and crew share their journey to the EVM Awards International 2018. Hello everyone, I am Ace Ramirez, bringing you stories from around the globe, and this is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Drone footage from Belluno in the Veneto region of northern Italy shows the extent of damage caused by the storm sweeping the country, flattening huge areas of trees, covering the mountains in the Dolomites range. Rescue services said Sunday floods killed 10 people, including 9 members of a single family, around Palermo on the southern Italian island of Sicily, raising the week's toll across Italy to 30. They said the bodies of 9 people, including children aged 1, 3, and 15, were found in their house in Castellgiaccia next to a small river which had burst its banks. According to the AGI news agency, or Agenzia Giornalistica Italia, 3 other members of the same family were able to escape. In a separate incident, a 44-year-old man was found dead in his car near Vicari. He had been trying to reach the service station. He managed to help a colleague trapped there. A passenger in the car was missing. Earlier this week in Sicily, floods closed many roads and mayors ordered shut schools, public parks, and underpasses. Italy, especially in the north and around Venice, has been hit by a series of strong storms, claiming some 30 lives and caused massive damage and disruption. The picturesque fishing village of Portofino, near Genoa, a famed holiday resort on the Italian Riviera, was only reachable by sea after the main road collapsed. An emergency path opened to let residents out was deemed too dangerous. Trees covering the mountains in the Dolomites range were reduced to matchsticks, flattened by winds that tore through the Veneto region on Thursday. The canal city of Venice on Italy's northeast coast has also been flooded for days. Italy's Civil Protection Agency described the weather lashing the country this week as one of the most complex meteorological situations of the past 50 to 60 years. In other news, French President Emmanuel Macron expresses his immense pride that voters in the Pacific territory of New Caledonia have voted to remain part of France in a referendum.
Les électeurs ont pu choisir souverainement, en connaissance de cause, la relation entre la Nouvelle-Calédonie et la France. Ils se sont exprimés aujourd'hui, majoritairement pour que la Nouvelle-Calédonie reste française. Le seul vaincu est la tentation du mépris, de la division, de la violence, de la peur. Le seul vainqueur, c'est le processus en faveur de la paix qui porte la Nouvelle-Calédonie depuis 30 ans. L'esprit de dialogue que plus rien n'entamera.
The Pacific Islands of New Caledonia voted Sunday to remain part of France in an independence referendum that showed support for Paris in one of its many far-flung but strategic outposts. Some 11,000 miles from the French mainland, New Caledonia is home to a quarter of the world's known supplies of nickel, a vital electronics component, and is a foothold for France in the Pacific where China is increasing its influence. On the final count, 56.4% of people had rejected the proposition that New Caledonia become independent, a clear but smaller than expected victory for loyalists to the mainland. French President Emmanuel Macron expressed his immense pride that we have taken this historic step together in a televised address to the nation, adding it was, and I quote, a sign of confidence in the French Republic, in its future and its values.
Je dois d'abord dire l'immense fierté que nous ayons ensemble passé cette étape historique. Je veux aussi dire la fierté pour le chef de l'État que la majorité des Calédoniens ait choisi la France. C'est pour nous une marque de confiance dans la République française, dans son avenir et dans ses valeurs. Mes chers compatriotes, au plan politique, il n'y a pas d'autre chemin que celui du dialogue. Le gouvernement proposera aux forces politiques de Nouvelle-Calédonie de se réunir dans les prochaines semaines.
Despite being an archipelago of islands, New Caledonia is sometimes referred to in France as the Pebble and is home to about 175,000 people. Turnout was high for the vote at more than 80%, but there are fears the referendum could inflame tensions between indigenous Kanak people who tend to favor independence and the white population which has settled since France annexed the islands in 1853. Several cars were burned and a couple of incidents of stone throwing were reported late Sunday, local authorities said, but the vote was otherwise peaceful. Tensions in New Caledonia boiled over into ethnic strife in the 1980s, which claimed more than 70 lives. It led to the 1998 Noumea Accord, which paved the way for a steady devolution of powers, as well as Sunday's referendum and possibly two others before 2022. In recent years, France has faced protests and calls for independence in several of its overseas territories, which are a legacy of the country's colonial history and are sometimes dubbed, and I quote, the confetti of the French Empire. French Guiana in South America and the Indian Ocean archipelago of Mayotte have been rocked by major protests over living standards and perceived neglect. Closer to home, the Paris government also faces renewed calls for independence from nationalists on the Mediterranean island of Corsica, which have been rebuffed by Macron.
Coming up, Iran marks the U.S. Embassy siege on the eve of sanctions. An analyst says President Trump's election is a catalyst for women running in midterms. Ted Cruz rallies women and Hispanics in a final midterm push. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will return shortly. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Iran's annual rally to mark the storming of the U.S. Embassy and hostage-taking of 1979 had particular significance on Sunday, on the eve of renewed sanctions by Washington. Thousands joined rallies in Tehran and other cities carrying placards that mocked President Donald Trump, wiping their feet on fake dollar bills, and engaging in burning the U.S. flag.
This year's 39th anniversary fell just hours before Washington was set to reimpose sanctions, including an oil embargo following its withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal earlier this year. Muhammad Ali Jafari, commander of the Revolutionary Guards, addressed the crowd from the grounds of the former embassy, now known as, quote, the Den of Spies.
آقای ترامپ، هرگز ایران را تهدید نکن، زیرا هنوز ناله‌های پر از وحشت نظامیان آمریکایی در تبت شنیدنی است و هنوز ناله‌های از سر ترس ملوانان شما و دوستان انگلیسیتان در آبهای خلیج فارس شنیدنی است.
The seizure of the U.S. Embassy by radical students was a key stage in the Islamic Revolution of 1979, leading to a 444-day hostage crisis that permanently damaged relations between Washington and Tehran. The students believed the U.S. would launch a counter-coup to return deposed Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi to power, similar to the CIA-backed coup that overthrew Iran's elected government in 1953, unaware that the king was already critically ill with cancer. Several of the students later regretted the incident, but for the establishment, it has become a powerful symbol of Iran's refusal to be dominated by outside powers, the key driving force of the revolution. Without the attack on the embassy, the revolution would not have reached its 40th year, said Jafari.
While insisting we should be normalizing the increase in women's political presence, Kelly Dittmar, scholar at the Center for American Women and Politics, says the election of Donald Trump in 2016 served as a catalyst for the record number of women running in the upcoming midterm elections.
The 2016 election seemed to serve as a sort of catalyst for women's candidacies this year, particularly Democratic, progressive women who saw the election of a Republican president with an agenda that they really did not support, and more than that, really feared would pull back on some of the policy progress that had been made over the 8 years prior. We should be sort of normalizing this type of increase in women's political presence by saying, look, this is yet another year where we're seeing gains for women, and that should be something we expect, not something we paint as a moniker of a single election cycle. The Me Too conversation has certainly facilitated some of the conversations we're having about women's political underrepresentation and why it matters that they are at these tables of influence and policy making, not just on issues around sexual harassment or sexual assault, but on a range of issues where the experiences of women have been different in the electorate and in our constituencies. 43% of Democrats or Democratic candidates for the U.S. House are women, compared to just 13% of Republican House candidates that are women. So that divide between how well represented women are in either party, both in the candidate pool and on the ballot, is also significant.
Ted Cruz holds a campaign event to rally the women's vote in Texas in the final days before the midterm elections.
3 issues that I think are front and center in this election. They are jobs, freedom, and security.
One thing that I love about Ted Cruz is how every time there's a barrier, he finds a way over it, around it, under it, above it. And if I ever come home and I'm frustrated, Ted is full of solutions. He's an optimist, and you don't look at the world in a gender-specific way.
One of the things I think that is very important that Latino families know is that conservative Republicans have the exact same values as these families, all my family members, and how it is that I grew up in San Antonio, Texas.
When we come back, Canada's I Am Joseph cast and crew share their journey to the EVM Awards International 2018. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will return shortly. is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. I'm Ace Ramirez. The IN Cinema film I Am Joseph bagged several titles in the recently held Excellence in Visual Media Awards, or the EVMA International 2018, including Best Lead Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and the third Best Film. Cast and crew of the multi-awarded film shared with Eagle News their journey to this first international awards event. Zalise Solano de Guzman reports.
Los Angeles, California is known all over the globe for the glamour of the TV and movie industry. Attractions such as the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Universal Studios, and the famous Hollywood sign is the stage today for the first international EVMA Awards in the West for In Cinema.
For the first time in Cinema, Excellence in Visual Media Awards will be held here in the Microsoft Theater, Los Angeles, California.
It's a music and theater event venue that can seat up to 7,100 people. Microsoft Theater holds one of the largest indoor stages in the United States and hosts multiple annual award shows such as the Emmys, Grammys, American Music Awards, and many others.
This year, the District of Southwest California welcomes all the delegates who traveled from different parts of the world.
Prior to this day, the organizers put together different activities for the delegates. The EVMA Awards International experience here in Los Angeles gave them the chance to explore world-class museums and visit historically significant neighborhoods in Los Angeles. They had the opportunity to feel the California sunshine and all the excitement that comes with it.
With 120 film entries from districts all around the world, the International EVMAs acknowledges the finalists from this year's In Cinema. As we can see, it's a red carpet filled with In Cinema delegates surrounded by members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo coming from different districts here in the United States and abroad.
My district is Southwest California. Hopefully that we win, and even if we don't win, we're still winners at our district.
The fact that we're already here, you're already a winner. Congratulations again.
Good luck to all entries and congratulations.
It's very exciting and overwhelming.
Be proud of your work. We know firsthand that you've spent a lot of effort, a lot of sacrifice, and we know for sure that we will be inspired by every single film that is in this entry.
I was actually the ambassador for the delegates from Canada, and they were so great. They were so great. They were so happy. We were always cracking jokes and stuff like that. To see their success here in In Cinema EVM Awards, I feel like I'm part of the Canada delegation. So I'm very proud of the Canada delegation and all of that you have accomplished tonight.
For all of our brethren around the world, we wish to give a greeting to all and wish God's blessings upon all of us. For those in Canada too, our former district, we would also like to greet you and say hello.
This historic event is truly a milestone for members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo as it takes place here in Los Angeles, California.
With a roster of short film productions, In Cinema aims to inspire members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo to hone their creative and artistic talents. Talents such as acting, script writing, directing, video editing, sound design, production design, among others. Just like all the other film entries, Candidate 2's film, I Am Joseph, shared with us their journey during the filming process.
So we're about to board, going to Chicago, then to LA. We'll see you there, EVMAs.
Just arrived in LA, waiting for baggage. It's not baggage. And the transportation to the hotel. See you there.
a lot of the brethren that helped in the In Cinema film 2018, I Am Joseph, came from brethren throughout, the different parts of our district, local congregations from Mississauga, the Mississauga area, which is now their own district, Canada 4. We have brethren as far as even going east in Scarborough, those helping out in Victoria. There were even particular scenes wherein we allowed a certain local congregation to just join to be extras. And having said that, this really increased the participation.
From seeing all the brethren come together, doing set design, wardrobe, hair and makeup, testing the shots and the sound, and seeing the story come to life through all the acting. It's such a wonderful experience to just enjoy the production process and to see all the members be edified in their faith in doing this production.
This film has helped me come out of my shell, to be more social and to think outside of the box. As a person, I'm quite shy, and becoming this new character who is outgoing, talkative, and more social, I was able to explore different aspects from this character.
The pre-production part, I really like it because of the creative process. When you share ideas, when you collaborate with other brethren, when you challenge each other's ideas, and then seeing it come together.
Writing music for film is challenging. You're not just putting notes to a picture. You're trying to convey a theme, a feeling that supplements what you see on screen and what you're hearing on screen with the dialogue. And that was a really challenging thing. And I Am Joseph affected me in ways where I can improve upon that skill. I can try new things and, make mistakes and know when I made mistakes and fix them. And it was really a good way to grow artistically and creatively, and I'm very grateful for having that chance to do so.
These kind of ventures allow members of the Church of Christ to explore parts of themselves that they've never gotten a chance to explore or express. Acting, filmmaking, directing, writing, sound, editing, all of the things that are involved in a production is something that's not necessarily common in your twice-a-week worship service. We're so used to being able to absorb information and learn and change and grow as Christians, but it allows us to creatively express God's teachings through the stories that we tell.
In Cinema is a project launched by the Iglesia Ni Cristo administration to promote Christian values and to also create quality productions.
Every year, In Cinema receives more than 100 screenplay entries that are reviewed according to very specific criteria, including following a theme. This year, there were a total of 44 international film finalists, of which 9 came from the Philippines. After the regional competition, In Cinema concludes with an International Excellence in Visual Media Awards, an event that awards the winning film in each category.
We actually won the best sound effects and the best musical score, which is so awesome because it's actually a musical movie, the first of its kind. It's all about the highs and lows of life and how at the end of the day, life is always sweet because there's always something to be grateful for.
In Cinema 2018 indeed has been another successful year for members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo around the world. For EBC's Special Feature Stories, I am Solis Solano de Guzman, your Canada Bureau.
The Excellence in Visual Media Awards recognizes values-based films created by up-and-coming filmmakers. That is today's Eagle News Washington, D.C. Join us tomorrow for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at Eaglenews.PH and EagleNewsLive.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/EagleNewsPH. Thank you for watching. I'm Ace Ramirez, a 1 with 25.